I'm Ami Horowitz, and we've been hearing a lot about the migrant caravan in the news. The caravan is a giant group of people that emanated, for the most part, in Honduras and are heading up to the U.S. A lot has been said about this caravan, so I decided to go down, check it out for myself, and figure out what is the reality versus the fiction. I'm here in southern Mexico in the state of Oaxaca, an area of Mexico which is riddled with narco crime and cursed with extreme poverty. It's also where the camp and base of the caravan is for the night. They're settled here as they continue their trek on to the United States. Despite the framing of the caravan as being full of women and children, the reality on the ground is quite different. Approximately 90 to 95% of the migrants were male. The major narrative being pushed by the press has been that the migrants are leaving Honduras because they are escaping extreme violence and that their lives are under constant threat, setting up the strategy that they would be able to enter the U.S. by asking for asylum. So I started by asking them a simple question. Why are you coming to America? ¿Por qué quieres irte a Estados Unidos?
Bueno, voy buscando una mejor vida económica.
Venir a trabajar aquí a Estados Unidos. A ver si podemos trabajar allá porque en Honduras no hay trabajo. Pues buscando una vida mejor porque en Honduras no hay trabajo. Por trabajos.
Y vengo a trabajar porque quiero ir a terminar mis estudios allá.
Terminar estudios en mi caso.
Come on, don't you just want to meet Caitlyn Jenner?
Ya más a mujer.
There's a massive logistical effort underway, akin to moving an army, and is clearly costing someone millions of dollars for the transportation, food, water, medicine, and services that are being provided for the members of the caravan. It's a supply chain that is being delivered by an army of trucks, which are all necessary to keep this enormous group moving forward. This is a truck actually carrying generic Gatorade.
It's got electrolytes.
The Mexican government also seems to be sending police to escort the dozens of buses and trucks that are ferrying the migrants and supplies along the route to the next destination. Ever present among the thousands of migrants are workers of Pueblos Sin Fronteras, clad in black t-shirts and colored vests. Pueblos Sin Fronteras means people without borders. They are the ones that seem to be most involved in organizing and mobilizing this caravan. The organization, as the name implies, is looking to create a world without borders, which seems to be one of the reasons why they organized this caravan in the first place, to flout American sovereignty. Many of the Frontera workers have a very interesting perspective on the United States, particularly since they're trying to move all these migrants into our country.
Estados Unidos para mí ya no es, para mí no es nada, ya pues, porque Estados Unidos ya hay mucho racismo para nosotros en Honduras.
This is one of the organizers on the ground with Pueblos Sin Fronteras, and she explains how they help the migrants game the U.S. immigration system.
We're working on collaborating with a lot of organizations to do large-scale legal orientation so people understand their options for refugee and humanitarian protection here in Mexico, as well as their rights to request asylum in the state and provide mass presentations about Know Your Rights. They call them Know Your Rights presentations, like to bring people together and make sure they understand that they can organize and they can fight for their rights.
Are you helping them on how to speak to reporters and
training folks on how to deal with the press? So like I was telling Fox News here, it's like asking really scary questions.
It made a kind of unsafe environment?
Yeah, of course.
How many of you are there? How many from the organization? From
hundreds.
The United Nations has been very active with the caravan from the moment it crossed the border. Several of its agencies are on the ground with them and have expended a great deal of time and money on helping the caravan move along. I made a call to Maria Ruby from the Office of the UN High Commission for Refugees. Maria, now you guys have been on the ground with the refugees from the moment they crossed the border, correct?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
It's a number of organizations, right? Not just the High Commission for Refugees, but also UNICEF and some other UN organizations that are helping them, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I can tell you that, for example, in Tapachula, in Chiapas, we were the only one that is still there. Now here in Mexico City, you see more organizations. But yeah, that's right. I mean, we've been there from the very beginning.
I mean, after Trump's consistent attacks on the UN, this is kind of a great way to stick it back in the eye of Trump, huh?
Yeah.
Continuing my trip with the migrants, I decided to hop on the back of one of these trucks and hitch a ride with them. So now we're heading to the next location where there'll be food, water, and shelter for everybody. This is one of the many, many trucks and buses that are part of this caravan that are ferrying these guys from one location to another on the way to the United States. At the base camp, there's a mobile hospital stocked with enough pharmaceutical drugs to make Keith Richards blush. There's also plenty of doctors and nurses attending to all of the migrants' needs. America also has very generous benefits for people who live in America. Is that something you want to take advantage of as well?
Así es.
Sí, claro que sí, para poder salir adelante por medio de esos beneficios.
Pues bueno, me lo traje a él y al niño, pero el niño me ha dado problema porque ha desmayado.
Do you think that your son can have better treatment in the United States as opposed to Honduras?
Pues esa es la confianza que tenemos en Dios.
While it does seem as the majority of these migrants are friendly and simply trying to make a better life for themselves and their families, there's an undeniable element of the migrants who are violent and dangerous. And many of the migrants know this, and some have experienced it.
Gente va también, gente pícara, gente mala también.
En el viaje hemos recibido agresiones verbales, físicas.
Y también va gente que va huyendo también porque debe cosas también que ha hecho allá.
Lo que más nos enoja a nosotros es que nosotros no les damos el motivo como para que hagan eso.
Por unos pagamos todos, hay unos poquitos que son maleantes y por uno se paga todo, así que se paga todo, ¿verdad?
De hecho, se hizo una organización, un señor hizo una organización en donde nos van a poner aparte a nosotros para que no nos salgan.
There are probably several billion people in the world who are seeking a better life. Do these migrants think that all of them should be allowed to enter the U.S.? Should America let in anybody who wants to come in?
Es la idea y es lo que nosotros queremos.
Porque todos venimos con necesidad.
Pues la verdad sí.
Pues la verdad que sí.
Pues claro que sí, porque va mucha gente necesitada y va huyendo por los motivos de nuestro país.
It seems to me that there are leftist organizations that are using these migrants as a tool to push a certain political agenda, which includes the weakening of American sovereignty and our border security. And unfortunately, these migrants are going to be caught in the crossfire.